Module 5 is Z transform. The Z transform of discrete time non-periodic signal, let's say x of n. The x of n's Z transform is given by x of z, where x of n and x of z are the time domain and z domain pairs, and the Z transform of the signal x of z is given by the summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z raised to minus n. The Z transform is used to solve the signals which are not at all solved, or which becomes difficult to solve by means of DTFT kind of a solving. So whenever the DTFT doesn't give the answer, we go for solving those discrete signals with the help of Z transform. And Z transform is just a discrete time counterpart of Laplace transform. It is just like a Laplace transform with the discrete time signals. The discrete time non-periodic signal x of n's Z transform is found, and we find the solution in such a way that the equation becomes solvable. Then how does it happens? Let's see. The Z transform x of z is given with this expression. Here the value of z is equal to r into e to the power of r into e to the power j omega, where z is given by r into e to the power j omega, wherein the r is magnitude and e raised to j omega contributes the angular part. So let's consider this one in this fashion. So as z is complex, let's think that its magnitude is r. If the z is given by this, its magnitude is r and the angle is omega. Here, as z is complex, let's substitute this one in our equation. When we substitute, we get this one as n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n, and here we substitute the value of z. Z is e to the power r into e to the power j omega. So as e to the power j omega, we can write r into e to the power j omega. Let's write this in this fashion. We can write in this fashion, and when we solve this, it is equal to summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n, and let's write these in a separate fashion. Like let's write r raised to minus n, and the other term becomes e raised to minus of j omega n. Here we know that this contributes the angular part and the rest contributes the magnitudal part, and we know that the summation, if it is having some lower limit, and let's say k is equal to or some variable, k is equal to or some variable, so let's say it is from 0 to infinity, or it may be some any value within the finite range, then this equation becomes solvable if the value of this alpha is less than 1. When alpha is less than 1, then we can write this one as it is 1 divided by 1 minus alpha in this fashion. If alpha is equal to greater than 1, if alpha is greater than 1, then this equation becomes not at all solvable. So it leads to infinity. So the condition to have the solution of this equation is we need to have the magnitudal part of this equation as less than 1. The magnitudal part of this equation is x of n r raised to minus n. Means in this equation we can, let's write this one as the magnitudal part, and if this x of n into r raised to minus n is less than 1, then only the solution of this equation is possible, otherwise no. So we consider that x of n into r raised to minus n is less than 1, then this equation becomes convertible. Convertible in the sense it becomes solvable, and we get some solution that is not equal to infinity. So it is giving some finite answer. So this equation, this thing becomes convertible. So this converges if x of n into r raised to minus n is less than 1. So we consider this phenomena in the solution of some problems, and we know that as z is a complex term, usually we are considering the magnitude, and to have the magnitude, let's say alpha, there will be many combinations, and even e raised to minus j omega n. So e raised to minus j omega n may lead to any value, because n can be any value, like it can be 1, 2, like. So n, depending upon the value of n, the angle may be different, either it may be 2 omega, 3 omega, or whatever. So it will be running from 0 to 360 degrees. So usually in Z transform we consider the circle to represent or to find the solutions of a Z transform. So why? Because Z is complex in nature, and if we are writing, let's say Z is a complex thing, and usually its magnitude we are thinking of, and there will be infinite number of values which contribute to the same magnitude. Let's like 1 plus j0, 1 plus j0 will give the magnitude as 1, and even 1 minus j0 will give the same minus 1. We can say plus j0 will also lead to the magnitude as 1. Similarly, just 0 plus j will give to the same magnitude as 1, and minus j will also lead to the magnitude as 1. Likewise, we'll be having many values in between the main axis which lead to the same magnitude, and this circle will give us the exact answer. So how does this happens? We'll see those all in solving the problems. 1 plus j0, like this. Even there will be some combinations in between whose magnitude is 1. So even there will be a point over here which will be having the r value itself, but its x value is different and y value is different. So throughout this we'll be having, for different values of this angles, we'll be having the magnitudes as ones. So there will be infinite number of combinations. So ROC is a circle, because in none of the cases the magnitude should cross the restricted value. So for that we are considering the circle, and to that circle we are calling as region of convergence. A region of convergence means if by considering the value, let's say outside this circle, our equation is giving us the solution, then we say that region of convergence is outside the circle. And if by considering the point over here, if our equation is giving us the solution, then we say that the ROC is inside the circle. So ROC means this magnitude will become less than 1 for those values of the magnitudes, or for those values of particular the real and imaginary. That is, as Z is equal to sigma plus j omega, where sigma is the real term and omega is the imaginary term. So this is our j omega axis, that's minus 1, and this is plus sigma minus sigma, this is plus j omega like this. So let's see a problem on this. So let's consider a very small, a simple problem, that is x of n is equal to alpha raised to n into u of n. So if this signal is given, and many the times this problem is being asked, if x of n is equal to alpha raised to n into u of n, and here the point to be noted that we are not given with like in DTFT we were having like alpha is less than 1 or greater than 1, some kind of things. But here we don't have like alpha is greater than or less than 1. So we'll be given simple a thing, alpha raised to n u of n. So let's solve this problem on a white sheet. Here we are given with x of n is equal to alpha raised to n u of n. So we consider to solve the problems, first thing is we have to write the Z transform expression. The Z transform expression is x of z is equal to the summation wherein n will be running from minus infinity to plus infinity, and x of n z raised to minus n. We need to write this formula first, and then we go for substituting the value of x of n in this equation. So during this substitution, let's write the summation as it is. Now x of n is the same, we'll substitute it. So let's write the limits as it is minus infinity to plus infinity. X of n is alpha raised to n into u of n. Now z raised to minus n as it is. We know that this u of n is a signal which is running from 0 onwards, and which is running from 0 to, like in this way, it runs from 0 to infinity. As it now u of n's value is known to us, so as u of n is multiplied here our summation. Now if we have to consider this u of n, then our n has to be from 0 to infinity, because as it is multiplied with alpha raised to n. So whatever may be the range of alpha n, when it gets multiplied with the signal, its range becomes from 0 to infinity only. Then z raised to minus n. Now what we do is we go for making it bit simple. So let's write the summation as it is, wherein n is from 0 to infinity and alpha, and let's write this as z raised to, so as z to the power minus n is there, we'll write minus 1 and this all raised to n. Now we have to check the solution of this problem. So we consider this as a single term and we can compare it with the summation, let's say k from 0 to infinity, and let's say there is some value a and this a raised to k. Then this equation becomes solvable. We can solve this equation if the value of this a, if this magnitude of a is less than 1. So if this a is less than 1, then we can write this one as 1 divided by 1 minus a. So similarly, we need to consider that this factor whose power is n. So let's think that this magnitude of alpha into z raised to minus 1 is less than 1. So by considering this is the condition to solve. So by considering this condition, we go for approximating this solution or this problem to, let's say it is 1 divided by 1 minus the same 1 minus alpha into z raised to minus 1. So when we do this, it becomes, so we can solve this one. Z raised to minus 1 can be written as divided by z, and when it goes, this becomes z divided by z minus alpha, and with the condition, this is the solution with this condition. So by using this condition, we need to find the reason of convergence. So to find that one, let's write it in this way. So this says that alpha divided by z has to be less than 1. Alpha divided by z has to be less than 1. So this implies alpha and this alpha divided by magnitude of this, the alpha has to be less than z. This is the condition we arrive at. So the meaning is, if we are given with the solution, so alpha, magnitude of alpha has to be less than magnitude of z, or similarly we can write the z, magnitude of z has to be greater than the magnitude of alpha. So this implies that the reason of convergence is what? So let's draw the reason of convergence in this fashion, and let's draw a circle with radius alpha. Let's draw a circle with radius alpha. So this is, let's say, alpha. Then as z, now z is what? This entire is a z. The entire plane is a z, wherein sigma is the real value and the other one is where sigma is the real value and the imaginary value is j omega. Now here there will be many values. Here alpha, z has to be greater than alpha, means for all the values which lie within this circle. So this is the circle with radius alpha, and all the values, it can be anywhere in this circle, and if we take those values, the magnitude of those, or the magnitude of those will be, let's say, we represent it as z only, because anyhow it is a combination of sigma and j omega, but the magnitude of this z would be less than alpha if the values are lying within this circle. But on the other hand, if we are taking the points outside this circle, so they will be having their values, their magnitudes, as the magnitude of this z would be greater than alpha. So the reason of convergence is outside of the circle, means for which when z is greater than alpha is the condition, means we may take any point which has to be outside of the circle. If it lies outside of the circle anywhere, then we say that the reason of convergence, we get the solution, and if it is inside of the circle, then we doesn't get any solution. And even we can go for representing its poles and zeros. So we know that roots of numerator are zeros and roots of denominator are poles. So z is equal to alpha is, here it is having only one pole and a 0. So let's represent it. So here this is represent a pole here, and 0 is represented by means of this. So this is regarding the problem, that is alpha raised to n into u of n. So the same way it has been solved, and when z is greater than alpha, we are getting the solution in this fashion with that condition, and ROC is outside of this circle. So let's see. And these kind of problems are referred as, or this kind of a problem is referred as right-handed sequences. Right-handed sequence in the sense, as it is getting multiplied with u of n runs from 0 to infinity, which is right side. So these kind of sequences are referred as right-handed sequences. And on the other hand, if we are having some signal which is lying on the left side, they are referred as left-handed sequences. Let's see an example of that type.